now more than ever, it's so important that we reconnect to this thing so we can hear our truth.
All right, we got to talk about that because you just did an episode of Q&A, which your Q&As are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
No, for real. Like the way that, I think it was the most recent one you did, you walked this woman through, she wanted to either be an astronaut or a sociologist,
Something like that, yeah.
Anthropologist, there we go. And so she wasn't sure if she was going to pursue her doctorate or really make an attempt to be an astronaut. And the way that you guided her through that, largely through how, I want you to imagine the scenario and tell me how you feel in your body.
Yes.
Walk people through the reconnection process. Because I think if one, people should watch that episode.
Yes.
Because you like hit her from like all these different scenarios and you could feel her like changing and unlocking things as she went, which was really extraordinary. But walk people through how to reconnect. What does that process look like?
Yeah, so first of all, it taps into slowing down. We're all moving so fast. We want the answer instantly. We're always going up here. So I think step one is to slow down and actually breathe and feel your body. You know, if you're someone who works out even, you may not be that practiced at doing this. You know, if you go to the gym and you bang out your reps, or you're doing squats, or you're hitting a class where it's just go, you may not be actually feeling the physiological signals that come through your body. So I always like to frame it like this. A lot of people ask me, what's the difference between fear and intuition? Like fear, a fear that you should actually move through. It's an opportunity for you to grow. It's something that you actually want to do, but you're just afraid of failing. Or what if it's your intuition telling you this is the wrong move? It's hard to decipher that sometimes. So what I like to do is I give people a very simple test, how to decipher the difference between that fear and intuition. Here's how it works. You have to slow down. You can close your eyes if you can and ask yourself, in terms of the opportunity you're thinking about saying yes to, when you imagine yourself saying yes or moving forward with this idea or this person in your body, in the nanosecond you ask the question, how do I feel about this? Do you feel yourself expand or contract? This is a tiny micro movement of feeling within you. Expansion might feel like lightness, joy, excitement, fun, all of those feelings where you almost perceive your body moving forward in space ever so slightly. Contraction, think about it in terms of dread, despair. Something in you is saying no. There's a heaviness, a pit in your stomach. Even if that opportunity, even if that idea or that person that asked you something on paper, it sounds like you should say yes, but something in you is like pulling back, that's your no. So it's a really great way to help people train themselves to tap into their inborn wisdom that's already within them, that's working to guide them on their best path.
You know what I found really interesting about what you were doing with the woman in the Q&A was that it was, as the audience, it was pretty obvious where she was leaning emotionally, and
Yes.
you simply pointing it out, like you feel your voice lightens, your energy changes when you talk about being the astronaut. And one thing that I really resonated with was you weren't trying to give her an answer until you really understood the problem.
Yes.
And so that was really interesting that you kept like this open space for her to figure it out, but then you'd say, okay, well, you sound different when you talk about that. And you had her do like this deathbed, like flashback thing, which I think ties perfectly with what you just said. But there's another part I want to get to, which is you've said that exercise you think is like a catch-all. How can people use exercise? Because you started in the beginning saying like even if you're working out and you're just going,
Yes.
you may not be feeling it. So how can I leverage exercise as a way to really begin to not need the outside voice that you were so potently for that woman, but wanting to be able to, discover this stuff for myself? So how do I use exercise as a way to tap in?
I think a few things. One, it's find modalities that you know work for you, where you have an opportunity to get so into the movement and the process itself that this thing recedes to the background. And when I say this thing, I mean the thinking mind. So for example, for me, when I take a spin class, a really good spin class where I'm loving the music and I can absolutely let go and charge into my body, I can like feel into every single movement. I can let the sweat pour off of me. I can get lost in the rhythm. I find that it opens up a channel in me like nothing else. Sometimes it could be taking a great walk.
I want to push you a little bit on opens the channel so I really understand it.
Yes.
Is it where you feel like you can hear the little voice in your mind? Is it where you're...
Ironically, you can't try and force it to show up. So Oftentimes when I hit a roadblock in my business and I'm just at this stalemate, and I'm like, oh, I can go this way or this way, I'm stuck. Let me go work out. Let me go take a walk. Let me take a spin class. Let me take a dance class and get immersed in that so that my subconscious and the rest of my body has a chance to work through it. And it will produce an answer or an insight when I'm not looking for it. It could happen at the end of the class, when I'm done in the shower. Sometimes it happens on the bike. It doesn't matter. But what you just have to do is have a level of faith and trust, and you can't go in forcing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So I know you meditate quite a bit.
Daily.
Is it a similar moment of opening, or is that completely different for you?
For me, in my own experience, it's very different. I feel like what happens through exercise, and again, it's when you have that level of faith to surrender to your body, to surrender that you have wisdom within you, that you're not going to access grinding to it. It unfurls almost like a flower blooms when it's ready.